I think I'm live. Or not. Or yes, I am. What up? Howdy. Good morning. Good morrow, all. Shit. I feel like something's not right here. Anyway, what ifs? Good morning. Welcome in, welcome back, welcome through, welcome to the kingdom of the ape. The apostate ape, that is me. And this is the channel where you can watch an undereducated hick from Alabama perform an intellectual takedown of the Christian faith, doctrine, and logic for your entertainment. But also, hopefully, to make the world a little bit better place, to combat the ridiculous rise of the ridiculous Christian smassionalism, which is basically a bunch of Christians with a bunch of power and a bunch of money who think they have a divine right to make other people's lives miserable, and we do not like that. They are openly and publicly calling to bring back institutions like slavery and manifest destiny. And we feel like this is evil, so that's why we're here, to keep our voice in the ears of all that would listen. And also, don't forget that this October, on the 23rd, the 24th, and the 25th, the Rocket City Reason Conference is going down. That's right, and it's going down in Huntsville, Alabama. And let me tell you, the biggest names in deconstruction are going to be there. It is going to be amazing. And if you can be there, you should be there, because it is going to be amazing. And you can get your tickets for that, if you ain't heard, at rocketcityreason.com. Also, please do not forget that the best friend of this channel is Dr. Joshua Bowen. That's right, a doctor. Not a doctor who's going to sew you up if you scrape your knee. He's a PhD scholar of the Hebrew Bible and a Syriologist. And he writes amazing works like these one, where he teaches you and I to learn languages like Biblical Hebrew. And he also writes scholarly works geared toward giving you and I knowledge to combat apologetics, just like these, which is what we do here. So make sure you check out Dr. Josh and all his awesome works like this at digitalhammurabi.com/Hebrew if you're looking to sign up for the Hebrew. And if you're just looking for the scholarly works like the Atheist Handbook to the Old Testament, then that's there too. It'll link you out. Just go to the website, digitalhammurabi.com, and check those out. All right. So now that we got the pleasantries out of the way, let's do they have cars back then? Or speeding tickets? Just, I don't know what that means. Anyway, now that we got the pleasantries out of the way, let's move on to the purpose of the channel: to combat apologetics. That's anyway. This background might be too high. Booey. Yeah. All right, let's see. Y'all let me know in the comments, please. Is the top of this obstructed? Is that too high? Pretty boring. Gotta like that. I think all liberals should have the right to abortion. Okay. Not obstructed. Perfect. I hate that. It always starts the writing on my screen, like right here, and then when I actually go live, it scoots everything up. But no, it drives me fucking crazy. Good morning, Duranga. Good morning. Good morning. Anyway, maybe we'll actually get some good conversations up in here today. Who knows? Let's see. Hey, Secure, you there?
Yeah, how's it going, bud?
It's going good, man. So, are you a Christian?
Oh, no. But I'm going to tell you a thing that they're going to tell you to try to skirt around this question so you're prepared.
All right, well, I'm already prepared, but thanks anyway, man. I appreciate it. But we're just looking to talk to Christians. So if you are a Christian and you are capable of a conversation and you can please, for the love of humanity, prove this pomp wrong, because, man, Christians are, like, we read the Bible out here, and what I read was, I gotta say, it was a bit mortifying, to say the least. Thanks for, I don't know how you know if I'm prepared or not, but anyway, just stick around if you want to hear. But I'm sure that they will, actually, I don't know if we'll, just trying this topic out, but anyway, certainly there's some true Christians out there who can defend the faith. So I guess we will see. I guess we'll see, won't we? Where we're at here. 6 minutes into the live. 6 minutes. I got a decent amount of time. I think I got at least a couple hours there. Defend what? Mm-hmm. Good morning, Katie. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. That's not even what I'm talking about, Sakir. Like, geez, Louise. At least listen for a while before you try to act like you know what everybody's going to say. Worse than a Christian shit. Damn it. No, I don't talk about all religions. I talk about one religion for the most part. Actually, 3 in 1. Depends on if you do Christian math or not. But anyway, hoping that some Christians would freaking please come prove us wrong, because Christians, this does not look good. I mean, crap. I skimmed through the Bible a couple weeks ago, and I mean, man, it was really, really, really horrible. Oh, man. Oh, shit. Yeah. Damn, that's funny, man. Kind of is it ain't funny? I guess I don't know. All right, let's see here. What did we get? I think Chobi requested up first. They're pouring in all of a sudden. Hey, Chobi, are you there?
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing good, man.
Okay. Well, I'm first of all, I'm a believer in Christ. I am a follower of the Episcopal religion. I'm also here to not argue the fact that, yes, the Bible does say that you could own slaves, but you're also not looking at the Bible as a historical book. Instead, you are looking at it as fact today. Now, what you are not looking at is over the years, Christian religion and laws have changed. So yes, in the year 0 AD and before, it was legal. But what you don't talk about is you completely talk about Leviticus. But Jesus.
There was no year 0 AD, man.
Okay, yeah, well, either way, I'm just making a point. It's not an exact statement.
Well, anyway, where does it say in the Bible that the Christian laws changed?
The Catholic Church. Talk to them.
The Catholic Church doesn't dictate Christianity or the Bible.
Yes, the Catholic Church was the beginning of Christianity.
So what are you saying? They changed the Bible and made it where slavery went away with Christianity, even though it lasted for 2,000 years after that?
No, what it's saying is, and on top of that, you're also sitting there saying Jesus was like, oh, he told you to follow the laws. Yes. Okay, I'm not going to argue the fact that he didn't tell you to follow law. But if you look at what Jesus said about the treatment of your slaves, he said to treat them like human beings, not property.
Really?
Basically. Yeah, really. You can find it in the
Really?
book
So
of
when
Paul.
Jesus says the slave that knew what his master wanted but did not prepare himself or do what was wanted will receive a severe beating, that means Jesus was said treat your slaves good?
If you look at things from the book of Paul and everything else, you will
This
see
is Jesus himself. Jesus said the slave should receive a severe beating.
And what interpretation are you using? Is it the same in every one? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've read the Bible left and right. Never
Luke
done it.
chapter
I'm more of
12.
a Book of Common Prayer guy. I've always followed the Book of Common
So
Prayer.
you've never even read the Bible?
No. Well, I've read parts of it. I've never sat there and read from.
Well, if you're going to sign up for a cult, you probably ought to read the pamphlet.
Well, the fact is you just want to get on here and belittle people who want to believe in something.
I want y'all to prove me
You're
wrong
an
because
atheist,
this
dude.
looks
You're an
really, really
atheist.
bad for
I'm not going to sit
Christianity,
here and
man.
argue and protect Christianity and sit here and say yes in that time. But again, these are outdated laws.
They're not
Then,
outdated
yes.
according to God. Why are you calling God a liar?
I'm not calling God a liar.
God
What
said
I'm
these
telling
laws
you
are
is
good
you're
and they
not
will
looking
last
at the historic.
forever.
You're not looking
So
at
you're
the
calling God a
full
liar.
historical.
You're
not
not
looking
looking
at
at
the
what
whole
God
historical.
says, man. There is no
You know what?
historical.
You're pointless in
Slavery
arguing
was
with. You know why you're
legal
pointless in
according to
arguing with? You're
Christianity
pointless in
in the
arguing with
U.S.
because
up
you're an
until
atheist, and all you want to
150
do is
years
bash
ago.
people who believe. And that
So are
is
you
what
just going to
pisses
crash
me off.
out, or are you actually going to prove me wrong here?
I don't
So
have
far,
to.
you've just come up
You
here and
know what?
agreed with me.
You're right. I agree that in the year of the Lord, it was legal to do it. And again, if you, you know what? I got to talk to my son. You're pointless in arguing with because you're an atheist. You hate people who are Christians. You want to believe what you want to believe.
Yeah, it's a sad story there, buddy. You're just bashing Christians. You're just being mean because our book says we can have slaves. I'm going to talk to my son now. Oh, yikes. Anyway. Alright, who did we have? I think we had K and then Fupa and then Defends. I think was the order there. Hey,
Yo.
K,
What up?
what's up, man? Alright,
you
well go
doing?
ahead and prove me wrong, buddy.
Okay,
We're
so
ready.
it says Christians have to support slavery. So basically, in the Bible, it does talk about slavery, but I feel like people fail to realize that slavery in that time period is not what it was after colonization. Slavery back then was
What was the difference?
slavery back then was more of like a servant type of thing. There was it was a multitude of different races that, like, it wasn't just a one particular race that was being made to be servants or whatnot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would enslave all the foreigners. It didn't matter.
Uh,
It wasn't
those-
race based. They would just enslave anybody
were-
who wasn't an Israelite.
there were European slaves as well during that time period. Like, it's not
I'm just saying in the Bible it's expressly permitted. Like God is perfectly fine with slavery. It's not a
Right.
sin. And I am talking about chattel slavery,
right.
like in
And
the
and
Bible.
slaves were set free after 7 years for one. Second part is
That's just males, and that's only if you don't trick them into staying for life.
well, that tricking them would be going against, the Bible. That's not going to, like, according to the
No,
Bible.
it tells you how to do it. It tells you how you can make them serve as a slave for life. It's in Exodus 21.
Exodus 21 says what?
It says you can give them a wife and a child, and you don't have to let the wife and the child go. So if they want to stay with their wife and their child, then they have to commit to you for life, and you pierce their ear with like an awl. Same thing in Deuteronomy 15. And they become your slave for life at that point.
Interesting.
And that's just for males. Females don't get to go out like the male slaves do.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
We can read it if you want.
I believe you.
But in Leviticus, it actually forbids debt slavery, but it says you can own chattel slaves. So it actually forbids making someone serve as a slave if they try to sell themselves to you. It says if you want slaves, though, just go get them from the foreigners around you and with you, and they can be your slaves for life.
That's interesting. I didn't know that, bro. Thank you for letting me know.
No problem. I'm glad you didn't know, because a lot of people come up here and argue they did know, and that's pretty scary to me.
So I'm not gonna like lie and say act like I knew or act like I, like I'm here to learn as well. So
Right. Did you hear the little quote I read from Jesus from Luke? It says,
no,
"The slave that knew what his master wanted but did not prepare himself or do what was wanted will receive a severe beating."
um,
So Jesus is talking about how hard you can beat a slave. It says, "But the one who did not know and did what deserved a beating will receive a light beating." It's like, you beat them a little, beat them severely. It's pretty horrible.
it is pretty bad, bro.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. I'm just out here. If people want to listen, then I'll just read them the book here. And you can't show me anything in the Bible that suggests slavery is a sin. And I think that should be very alarming
Yeah,
to people.
I agree. There's nothing that says it's wrong. It's just like the rules about it are different. It's weird.
Yeah, that's only part of the bad stuff from the Bible here, unfortunately.
Crazy shit, bro.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So, do you got anything else you want to add, or?
The human sacrifice portion, would that be referring to Jesus himself or what?
Well, he's definitely part of it, but no, there's a lot more human sacrifice in the Bible than just Jesus. Like Jephthah in Judges 11, he sacrifices his daughter as a burnt offering to God. Deuteronomy 13, one of the penalties for enticement to other gods is that you have to put every living thing in a town to the sword and then pile them up in the middle of the town and burn it all as a whole burnt offering to God. So it's literally talking about a mass human sacrifice in Deuteronomy 13.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it says, says, if the charge is established that such an abhorrent thing has been done among you, you shall put the inhabitants of that town to the sword, utterly destroying it and everything in it, even putting its livestock to the sword. All of its spoil you should gather together into its public square, then burn the town and all its spoil with fire as a whole burnt offering to the Lord your God. It shall remain a perpetual ruin, never to be rebuilt. Do not let any devoted thing to destruction stick to your hand, so that the Lord may turn his fierce anger and show you compassion, and in his compassion multiply you as he swore to your ancestors. So, yeah. Whole burnt offering to God. It's a mass human sacrifice.
God,
which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you don't like this. Most of the time I read this to people and they just like, well, it's just.
Well, I'm not gonna be ignorant if it's there. It's there.
Yeah, it's there. It's there and it's horrible.
Yeah, so I mean, it was good being up here, bro. I appreciate the insight.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for not being typical. Shit. Damn. Hey, W for the guest there. W for that guy. All right. So let's see here. I think what was I say? Let's try FUPA right there. Oh yeah, well. 2 guests in. Only 20 minutes. Rocking and rolling. Let's see here. Salty. All right, come on in. Christians request up. We're going through people somewhat quick this morning, so probably not that long of a wait. Got a few in line here. So there you go. A true Christian be someone who acts truly in accordance with Yeshua. That's what a true Christian is. Whatever a true Christian's, I mean, if it's supposed to be for real, that's why I put it in parentheses there. All right, let's see. Say, I'm lost. Are you there? Hello?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Doing good, man. Are you a Christian?
Yeah, I'm Christian.
Cool, man. I say true Christians have to support slavery, injustice, and human sacrifice. So please, for the love of humanity, prove me wrong.
Well, I follow God and His Word, and I treat people how they deserve to be treated.
That's cool. How does God say people deserve to be treated?
He says they deserve to be treated with kindness.
Does he say some people deserve to be treated like a slave?
No,
Really? So if I read you part of the Bible where he does say people deserve to be treated like a slave, will that influence your thinking at all?
well, not really. Just because He doesn't say that because of the types of people that they are, like where they came from, or things like
Well,
that.
well, no, he does say that. You've read the Bible, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, he does say that. He says foreigners can be made into slaves, and you can treat them like slaves.
Well, yeah, foreigners, but it doesn't say like slave all those white people over there. Like it doesn't say that.
But it says enslave the foreigners.
Yeah, the foreigners. Who is
That's
the
everybody, not just white people.
Okay, so it's fair, right?
No, it's not fair. It's telling Israel they can enslave anybody they want as long as they're foreigners.
It's not fair. Just slave all the foreigners.
So, I mean, you're okay with slavery?
And then it says that you could slave the Israelites too. They would be like servants, right?
It actually forbids debt slavery, but it says you can make foreigners into chattel slaves.
Okay, where does it say that they're chattel slaves?
That's what chattel slaves are property. People owned as property. It says that in Leviticus 25 and Exodus 21, Deuteronomy 15, Deuteronomy 20, and Deuteronomy 21.
Well, see, because I think one difference, right, that I think me and you have is that in my mind, I actually don't see any difference today of what that is. So, like in your mind, you see a difference. So, explain to me the difference that you see in your mind of today.
Today, I am not owned as property, and this is talking about owning people as property, as a slave. You can make them do whatever you want. You can beat them with a rod as long as they don't die within a day or two, and you get to keep all the money that they make. And if it's a girl, you can marry them forcefully if you want, or do other stuff.
Okay, so basically you just, told me the same stuff that you said, right? So how is that not the same as today?
Because today it is illegal to own people as property.
Okay,
Like,
so that's what I'm trying to
I've
say.
never been to
Like,
America, but we fought a whole war over this 150 years ago.
And what changed?
That you can't own people as property any longer in the United States.
Nothing changed. That's what I'm saying. You have to be smart to understand this, is what I'm saying.
Do you know what a slave is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you tell us?
Yeah, I'm a slave. You're a slave.
So someone owns you as property.
Yeah.
Who's your master? Who do you serve?
Christ, Jesus Christ.
So Christ owns you as property.
Yeah. That's 100%.
Do these words sound right when they come out of y'all's mouths?
Yeah, I mean, this is what the Bible says word for word. I'm a slave of Christ.
You're right. So you support slavery, right? Doesn't sound like you disagree with me.
But see, so what I'm trying to explain to you here is you're just lost. You don't understand what's really going on around you, right? It's like you're just living in it. That's what I'm trying to
What does that have to do with slavery?
I'm telling you, whether you believe in slavery or not, or however it works, I'm just saying this is how the world works, no matter how anyone feels. They just paint it up differently, make it look a little nicer, right? So you don't feel like you're owned, right? That's it. so that you continue to do the same things every day and give them money. This is the point. Okay, this is how we're slaved.
You give Jesus money?
No, I give the government money. You see, Christ said that too. He said, "Give
Well, you
Caesar."
said you're a slave
Caesar.
to Jesus, and a slave has to give their master money. So do you give?
And then he
Jesus
says,
money?
"Give God what's God's." Right? He says both. He says, "Give the government what is the government's." Right? Since we're going to live here, but you have to give God what is God's, since He made us. Right? And that's what's right to do. Now, see, since we live in the earth, we're going to be slaved. Period.
It doesn't sound like you disagree with me there.
Oh. Yeah, well, since we live in the world, right, we're going to be slaved in several different ways. It doesn't really matter, where you live at.
So
Or
would you
what
say it's
time frame
accurate
you live
to say Christians support slavery, owning them and being them?
Well, no, honestly, if you looked into the history of the world, right, you'll see that the only reason that people weren't slaved in some sort of harsh way or something like that is because of people who followed God. Women are treated more equal in the world now because of people that follow God. Every good thing that's ever happened to people and mankind in the world is because of people
that's
that
not
follow.
because of Christians, though.
Yeah, it is some
God
Christians.
doesn't say any of that stuff in the Bible. It
some
says a
Christians
woman is
follow
worth
God.
less than a man monetarily. Women don't have any sort of rights at all, hardly.
Well, they have the right to live and do a lot of things. They have the right just the same as a man does in the Bible. I mean, it's just the way that they're built, right? Is they're not built like a man, right? Women are not built like men, correctly, right? Is that right?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well,
it says,
are you?
It says when you buy
like
a male
woman,
Hebrew
sir? Is that
slave,
what
he
you're
shall
saying?
serve 6 years, but in the 7th he shall go out free. And when a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. So if
Here,
you
let
buy
me
a
show
male
you
slave, you have to turn him loose, but you never have to turn women loose.
Here, let me show you where you live right now. Go to Isaiah 3:12, right? And you can see a little window of where you live right now, right? And then you could see like the future as it goes, right? Read that verse. And then you could see this is where you live in time right now. Isaiah 3:12. Right? And then you keep reading it, and then you'll see where me and you are headed, basically, in this world. This is regardless of what anyone thinks.
Okay, so the kings of Israel are leading us as Israelites astray.
As it says, right, in the KJV, I don't know if you're reading that version, it says, children and women will be your oppressors, right? So children and women will basically rule over you, okay? So you're going to listen to what they say, even if it's right or wrong, whatever. But it's going to lead us to this point, right, where like maybe we'll lose America as a nation, or anything could happen, you know. You know, it happens in the Bible all the time, right?
I think you've made my case that Christians do support slavery. So,
well, I actually don't think I made that case, man. But you know,
made that case perfectly. It seems like.
I mean, you know, if you're a shallow person and you lack a lot of understanding about the world and how it works, then yeah, sure, you could say, yeah, I support slavery because I know how the world works, bro. I'm not like I'm not trying to say like
a Christian who supports slavery.
You can't fix stupid, bro. That's what I'm saying.
You sure?
Like you know 2 + 2 or you don't. That's it. There's no in the middle.
That's right.
Yeah. So if you have a job, right, stop going to work, bro. Stop going to work.
Yep.
Don't go to work.
Yep.
Don't pay your taxes.
Well, I'm lost. You got anything else you want to add? It sounds like
don't pay your taxes.
Christian support slavery. So.
Don't do any of that shit, bro, and then you'll stop supporting slavery too. Yeah, that's what I got to say, because you support slavery for real. That's what you really do, is support slavery.
No, you really do. You really are a slave, is what you say.
No, you're a part of slavery, bro, because you have no idea how it works.
I'm not. Nobody owns me. I can leave America whenever I want. Like, you're constantly enslaved to Jesus, bro. So apparently you have to give me money.
You can't get away from this place. The world owns you. right? And then you don't even believe there's an afterlife, so there's no way out for you. You're stuck.
If I do, no, if I believe I could die, there is a way out through death.
And where are you going?
Going to death.
Nowhere. Nowhere, bro. You ain't going nowhere.
I hear you. All right, you got to support slavery to get somewhere. Y'all heard it there first. All right, let's see. Sinner and Saint is next, and then we got Nated. I don't think Sinner and Saint still here though. Oh yeah. All right, let's try Nated here. Hey, Nated, are you there? Nope. Whoops. 582. The algorithm's slow today, but we've got a bunch of people come up. So that's cool. Henry, what's up? What's up, Henry? What we got here? Oh, I'm gonna welcome viewers by name 50 times. All right. What's up, y'all? I am the Apostate Ape. Welcome to my channel. Throw me a follow. I do these lives pretty much every day, even though I forgot yesterday was a holiday, so I'll skip that one. But yeah, if you are a Christian who is capable of a conversation like an adult, then please, for the love of all that is decent and sanctified, please come prove us wrong. So far, we've had 3 people come up and pretty much agree with us that Christians support slavery. So far, pretty scary. 3 for 3, pretty much, I think. Which is quite sad. It's quite sad. It's quite sad. Anyway, Christians, please come prove us wrong. This is just really, really bad. Really, really bad. Let's see. FIFA Jesus. That's a cool name. Right. Yes. Dang. Well, so far, we've had about 3 Christians come up and basically agree with us that Christianity supports slavery. Well, actually, the one guy didn't agree. I almost forgot about that. Yeah. Remove that credit from the from 2 of 3 there. So the one guy didn't forgot. We had one morally founded human there. So yeah, it's crazy so far. Crazy so far, y'all. Crazy so far. Damn. So Christians, please, what is happening here? Certainly for the love of humanity, somebody can prove me wrong. This is concerning stuff. So far, we've had 2 Christians come up here and agree with me that they support slavery. One of them said they are a slave, which is pretty biblical, actually. Yikes. How scary is that? Anyway, if you are a Christian and you are capable of a conversation, then please, for the love of all that is holy, please come prove me wrong. Because it seems really bad for Christians here. Like, really, really bad, actually. Yeah, man. Anyway, looking for Christians who want to come up and, for the love of humanity, please prove us wrong. So far, we've had several Christians come up here and agree with us, which is just kind of scary. We cannot let this stand, y'all. Let's see. Hey, the real Gray, are you there?
What's up?
Hey, what's up, man? So please prove me wrong on the topic here.
I'm a true born again Christian and I don't support slavery.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, technically, I prove you wrong because I am a true Christian and I don't support slavery. But I'm sure that's not as deep a conversation you want to go into.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, my argument is that in the Bible, like, I don't think that you can show me that slavery is actually a sin in the Bible. It's endorsed all through the Bible.
Well, so mitigation is different than endorsement. So if the Bible had a verse that said slavery is good and do it throughout all human history, then I would agree with you.
It does say that.
But it doesn't say that.
It does say that.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
but
it does.
you can, if you read me that verse, I'd feel free.
I would love to read you the verse. Just let me open
Okay.
it the wrong way, though. All right. So God says, these are the statutes and ordinances that you must diligently observe in the land that the Lord your God has given your ancestors and has given you to occupy all the days that you live on this earth. And if you go down, it says, be careful to obey all these words that I command you, so that it may go well with you and your children after you forever, because you are doing what is good and right in the sight of the Lord your God. So God is saying all his laws and commands are good, and you should keep them all the days that you live on the earth. And God says you can have slaves. Property.
So, again, if God said that slavery is good, I would agree with you, but he doesn't.
All his laws are
good. So don't cut me off. Let me finish what I'm saying. Let me finish my point. You're reading from the Old Testament, and so just one example, there's ordinances for ancient Israel regarding divorce. And Jesus in the New Testament is against divorce only in two circumstances, but he says he allows for divorce because of the hardness of human heart. So even though he doesn't agree with it and it's not an ideal he produces, he knows the human ways and has to mitigate appropriately, because you're not just going to end the different things in this lifetime. It's not going to happen. So he puts restrictions on these things, although he is against them to begin with. And the same thing applies to slavery. If you actually look at number one, you can't confuse slavery in ancient Israel versus actual chattel slavery in the Americas a couple hundred years ago, number one. Number two, slavery in ancient Israel in the ancient times for their area was primarily indentured servitude or debt slavery. Number three.
Hold on,
if you read,
let's go through them one at a time. I don't want to forget them.
I know. We'll go back, but let me finish my last one. Which I'm sure there's more, but I'll make this the last one. That if you read the ordinances about slavery in the Old Testament. For example, if the slave owner was to permanently injure a slave, like gouge out their eye or break a tooth or whatever it is, they were required to be set free. If and there's a lot of I'm driving, so I can't pull up all the verses, but I know because I've had this debate many times, and I know where that they exist, and I could find them if I wasn't driving. But there's many restrictions on slavery that God commands because slavery existed as an institution much longer before God had commanded any of these laws. And so the idea that, you were just going to end slavery was not going to happen. He put in restrictions that were not common to any other civilization at that time in any region around. They were much worse.
That's
and
not
God
true.
said,
Almost everything you said so
true.
far is untrue. No, it's not.
Okay, well, you can prove me wrong.
There's Near East. I can prove you wrong, and there's Near Eastern law codes that are far better than Levitic law. But God says all His laws are good, they are just, and they are perfect. Is that true or not?
Yeah, it's true for that time, yes.
No, He says forever, all the days that you live on the earth. I read that to you.
Yes, as His laws do change.
They don't
Any
change.
of the laws
He says you will not add to or take away from these laws. They are perfect and they are just, and you are not supposed to add to or take away from these laws ever.
Keyword you. He's talking about them. God can make any law He wants.
He's giving orders to humans. He's talking exactly,
yes,
but
that doesn't
are welcomed into this covenant, and even Jesus says you have to keep this law forever until heaven and earth pass away. Not one dot or stroke of a pen is going to pass from the law.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm saying is, God, where does it say God can't change His law or change the way you're supposed to think about something?
It says in Deuteronomy 4. So God says His laws are good, right?
Yes.
He allows through law that you can own a slave, own another human as property, the same as the antebellum South. It's chattel slavery. So that's good according to God. Right?
Not the same as the antebellum South.
It is the same.
Number one.
Owning people as property.
No, there's a difference between the antebellum South and having indentured servitude or debt slavery. Those are two different things.
No, Leviticus forbids debt slavery and says can own. Yes, it does.
Debt slavery was still a form of ownership. There was no institution of employee and employer back then. That's the way it was viewed. Still ownership.
You're just factually incorrect.
No, I'm saying wrong. I agree that it was ownership, but that ownership is not the same as the way that slaves were treated in the antebellum South. If you
own property, that's chattel slavery.
No, it's not. Chattel.
Yes, it is. Chattel is property. Chattel is literally defined as movable property. It's a commodity.
If that's the definition you want to use, then okay, sure. But
the definition.
To compare the treatment of that then in ancient Israel to antebellum Southern slavery is a lie.
It's not a lie.
False.
And I'm going to read it. Here, I'm going to read it to you.
Because if you read Levitical, if you read
I'm about to read it
law,
to you.
Half of what happened in the antebellum South, the Levitical law is against.
No, it's not. And I'll read it to you. This is what Jefferson, listen, this is on the screen right here. This is Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy. He says, let the gentleman go to Revelation, learn the decree of God. Let him go to the Bible. I said that slavery was sanctioned in the Bible, authorized, regulated, and recognized from Genesis to Revelation.
I don't care about Jefferson Davis.
Slavery
I care about what the Bible
existed in
says.
the earliest age. He's quoting the Bible, and this is a Christian. And
There's
among
no
the chosen
quote there.
people of God, and in Revelation, we are told that it shall exist till the end of time. In the New and Old Testaments, in the prophecies, the Psalms, the epistles of Paul, you find it recognized, sanctioned, and regulated.
Where's the quote? I don't care what Jefferson Davis said. I care what the Bible says. So give me a Bible verse. I don't care what Jefferson Davis said.
All right. So first, I'm going to prove you wrong that when you said it's an indentured servitude. So in Leviticus 25, verse 39, It says, if any who are dependent on you become so impoverished that they sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as slaves. They shall remain with you as hired or bound laborers. That's employees. That's called sakir in Hebrew. So that's definitely a thing when you said it wasn't.
Yeah,
Now, in verse
that's not
44,
what I literally just said. That's what existed. It literally, you just disproved
you
yourself
said
by
they,
reading that verse
no, I
because it
didn't.
says
You
don't
said they
make them a
didn't
slave. It says
exist. You
make
said
them
this is like
indentured
debt slavery.
servitude,
And you said
which is
that
debt slavery.
slavery in the Bible is indentured servitude. I'm showing you where it forbids indentured servitude.
Read that verse. Read the verse again. Read it again.
All right, listen real close. It says, if any
Yeah,
who
I
are
know.
dependent on, okay, if any who are dependent on you become so impoverished that they sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as slaves. They shall remain with you as hired or bound laborers.
To pay off of their debt because they became so impoverished,
It
and it
says,
literally
you
says
shall
to
not,
not make them slaves.
you
It
shall
literally says
not,
not to make them slaves. You're proving
I
yourself
know
wrong.
that. I know that. So it's
So what's your
forbidding debt
point?
slavery, isn't it?
It's what?
It's forbidding debt slavery, isn't it?
No, it literally just said make it debt slavery because that's what indentured servitude is. You're paying off your
Oh
debts
my God.
and not making them slaves.
Try to listen real close this time. If any are dependent on you become so impoverished that they sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as slaves.
Okay, I don't understand what your point is.
Did you
What's
hear
your
the
point?
word not in there?
Yeah,
You shall not make them serve as slaves.
yeah. I
That means
agree.
you shall not make them serve as debt slaves, right?
That's never what I said.
Yes,
Yeah, I
it
don't
is.
think. I don't
You
think.
said
Let me
slavery
hold
in
on.
the Old
I
Testament
just-
isn't like the antebellum South. You said it was debt slavery, like they have to remain with you for so long, like it was they're paying off a debt. That's exactly what you said.
That's what you just read, and that's what
I
I
know
said
that.
too. I don't
And
understand.
I'm
I don't
saying
think. I think
this
you're
says you can't make
misunderstanding
them
my point.
slaves.
I think you're
I
misunderstanding
know.
my point. So
All
when I
right,
say
make your
when-
point again because maybe I did misunderstand it.
All right, okay, so when I say debt slavery, get antebellum South slavery out of your head. What I mean is what the Bible said just right there. Do not make them as slaves. You put them as indentured servitude, which is what I mean by debt slavery, but not slaves.
Debt slavery is
indentured
having
servitude,
them
you're
as
paying
a
off your
slave.
debt.
If it says you shall not
well
make them a slave, then that's
all right,
not
then I
indentured servitude.
shouldn't have used the word slavery. I should have just
Okay.
said indentured servitude and paying off your debt. That's what I should have said.
All right.
But okay,
So, all
but
right,
again,
so that's
but-
not the case. We know that's not tied to slavery in Leviticus, right?
Yeah. So how is that against my argument? That seems to go against yours because you're the one
Because
saying
we
that it
haven't
supports
finished
slavery. And
reading
it
it
just said,
yet.
don't
Because we're
support
about to
slavery.
finish reading it, and you're
Okay,
about
sure.
to be
All right, go ahead,
proven
next.
quite wrong.
Go ahead next.
All right. So if they try to sell themselves to you, you can't make them slaves, right? But it says in verse 44, this is what it says. As for the male and female slaves whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and
Right.
female slaves. You may
Right.
also acquire them from the aliens residing with you and from their families are with you who have been born into your land, and they may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. These you may treat as slaves, but as for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over the other with harshness. So this is clearly saying you can own people as property. You can pass them down to your children as property. And it says when a slave owner strikes a male or female slave with a rod and the slave dies immediately, the owner shall be punished. But if the slave survives a day or two, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's property.
Right. Now,
That's chattel slavery.
So then you're getting into what I tried to talk about earlier with the fact that slavery was an institution in that area forever before God
And
made
God
any
allowed it
commandment.
in the law
And
that he
yes,
said was
God-
all good and all
and-
just and all perfect.
No, God said that his commandments were good, not that the institution of slavery itself was
He says
good in the
he
sense.
says his commands are good, and that was a
Yeah,
command
so let me-
that you
so-
can
so let
take
me-
foreigners
so-
as slaves. They were all commands.
So let me finish. The progression of the Bible is slowly eradicating the idea that slavery is good throughout time. And given the verse that you just read, again, the institution of slavery existed long before God made these commands and restrictions on it. The verse that you read about, okay, well, if the slave dies right away, then the slave owner has to be punished. Okay, well, that's a protection for the slave that slaves didn't have anywhere else around. God is making restrictions for that institution over time because of the fact that it is not good. And the fact that you're not going to ban it all at once.
No. So you're saying God passes laws that are not good?
I didn't say that.
That's what you just said. You said slavery is not good. So if God is allowing slavery and it's not good, then God is passing laws that are not good.
Well, God allows for all things to happen. That doesn't mean that it's good.
Well,
it means He allows sin in the world, but you ultimately have to turn away from that and turn to Him. But what I'm trying to point out to you is the fact that God's progression and restriction of slavery and the introduction of Jesus throughout the Old Testament and then into the New Testament is what ultimately abolished slavery in the West. So the point.
Okay, so show us in the Bible where it says slavery is not good, where it suggests that not owning people as slaves is bad. Anywhere.
You're not going to find the words verbatim slavery is bad. It's called principles and ideals.
That's why I also said show us anywhere where it even suggests that.
In the image of God.
Doesn't say
and that you are to treat. Yes, it does. It says all people are made in the image of God. Yes, it does. Go back to Genesis. Yes, it does.
No, it says He made Adam and Eve.
In the image of God, in the image of God, we made them.
Them is Adam and Eve.
Go back to Genesis.
It's Adam and Eve. Anyway, so when God was explaining that if someone tries to sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as a slave. Why didn't He just maybe go on and say, hey, maybe not make anybody slaves?
Because the Israelites, if you read the Old Testament, are very rebellious people, but they're still God's chosen people that He's trying to work with and transform over time. That's the whole concept of the Bible. You don't get it all at once. It's called dealing with sinful humans. It's called progression over time and
sin is breaking the law. They're not breaking the law by owning a slave.
Not back then, no.
Not now.
But that's why
God says all the days you live on this earth, the law will stand. Jesus said the same thing.
That's not what He said.
It is what He said. You want me to read it to you again?
You're talking about Levitical ancient Israel law, which has changed over time.
I know that. Jesus and God says you have to keep that law until heaven and earth pass away.
That Jesus was not referring to Levitical law.
Yes, He was. He said, keep the commands of God. He said, what did Jesus say the greatest two commands are?
To love your neighbor and to love God.
Hey, can you take a wild guess where those come from?
Not Levitical law, it's the law of Moses.
Yes, it's Leviticus 19, verse 18.
The law of Moses and the Ten Commandments is not the same as Levitical law. It's ceremonial law.
If Jesus says the greatest of the two laws is loving your neighbor as yourself, that is Levitic law.
Which automatically flies in the face of the idea that God supports slavery, or else He wouldn't have said that.
There's a distinguishment between neighbors and
time.
Everybody else in the Bible, and again, it's
literally
Levitic law. You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
When you get to the New Testament,
Levitic law,
when you get to the New Testament, He rids of the idea that there should be a separation between your neighbor and foreigners. That's why He bridges the gap between the Jews and the Gentiles and includes everybody in that term.
He doesn't bridge a gap. He tells the disciples to only go among the lost sheep of Israel. He says, I only came for them. He says, do not go to a town of Samaritans.
No, that's not true. At Pentecost, He said, first preach the good news to the Jews, And then after that, he says to go to the Gentiles.
It doesn't say that.
Yes, it
Anyway,
literally
hold on a
does
second.
say that. They literally went outside of the Jewish lands to the Gentiles, to Samaria and all over.
No, it tells them not to go there.
No, that's not, at first, at the very beginning, he says, don't go there while he was there. And then after he rose,
Then he calls a Canaanite
Pentecost, he
woman a
says,
dog.
preach to the Jews first, and then he says, go to the Gentiles.
Do not take a road leading to the Gentiles, and do not enter a Samaritan town, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Yeah, then keep going. You have to keep.
As you go, proclaim the good
Testament.
news. The kingdom of heaven has come. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those with a skin disease, cast out demons you received without payment. Take no gold. And then he tells them that they will see the coming of the Son of Man before they have finished going through all the towns of Israel. They don't leave time to go preach to the Gentiles, man. So you're just wrong. You've been wrong about nearly everything you said so far. But my point is, Jesus, the greatest two commands.
Have you read?
That's literally Levitic law, though.
Have you read any of the books written by Paul in the New Testament where
I've
he
read
literally
all
says,
the
I'm
Bible,
speaking
man.
to
I
you
was
Gentiles?
I was a Christian over 20
He literally
years.
says,
Paul,
I'm speaking to
Paul,
you Gentiles.
That's
which
Paul,
he was
not
an apostle.
Jesus. That's Paul, not Jesus.
But Jesus commanded his apostles. It's irrelevant whether Jesus, he literally went and talked to Samaritans who were Gentiles.
You might be the only Christian I've ever heard say what Jesus did was irrelevant. But anyway, that's pretty well.
It's irrelevant to your point because he commanded his apostles to go preach to the Gentiles, which they did. Which
did not answer at all. His disciples came and urged him, saying, "Send her away, for she keeps shouting at us." And he answered them, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." And then the greatest two commands is Levitic law. So, anyway, can you show me where Jesus says, don't keep the law? Because I can show you where he explicitly says, do keep the law.
Yeah, he says keep the law, but you're conflating the law that he's speaking of.
No, I'm not. It's the law of Moses. There's only one law. There's 5 giant books in the Old Testament that are called the law, and they give the law. And anytime the Israelites don't keep the law, God gets super pissed. He even says he's going to send prophets to test you.
Here's
to
the
see
problem.
if you will stop keeping the law.
You don't read in context. And
no, I am reading in context.
No, you
don't. You haven't even read it, it doesn't seem like.
You haven't refuted anything I've said. So
I've proved literally everything you said wrong.
Yeah,
maybe all his laws are good?
World. Yeah, I never said that
Does
wasn't
God
true.
say his laws are to be kept all the days that you live on this earth?
Does his laws change?
No, it says that in Deuteronomy 4.
That doesn't answer my question. Can his laws change?
No, it says that in Deuteronomy 4. It does not change. It says you must neither add anything to what I command you, nor take away anything from it, but keep the commands of the Lord your God with which I'm charging you all the days that you live on this earth.
Stop right there, because you completely ignored what the verse just said. It says, I didn't ask you whether or not God allowed for man to change his law. I asked you if God himself can change his laws or restrictions or anything else over time. Can God himself do that?
If he wanted to,
yes,
he probably could, but that's not in the Bible.
And he did. He changes.
Okay,
yes,
chapter and verse. Show us where God says the law is going to change.
The fact that Jesus...
Just chapter and verse.
And this is where the distinction that I try to keep explaining to you of Levitical law versus ceremonial law versus the law of Moses, that there's different ones for the fact that
there's only the law of Moses.
There's Levitical law. Okay, can I finish?
Moses wrote it all.
That's not true. And let me finish.
Chapter and verse then. Show us where the law changes.
Let me finish. So I'm not refuting the idea that Moses wrote these laws. I'm saying there's different types to the laws, given that they're ceremonial, with the
No,
priesthood.
there's not. That's
There's
just a
Levitical
category.
with
That's
with
just
the
a
people.
categorization, but it's not literal. It doesn't work like that.
Well, it does work like that if Jesus is
No,
the
it
one who
doesn't.
says it works like that, because
And he doesn't. Where does
yes,
Jesus
he
say it?
does.
Chapter and verse.
Okay,
Show us.
Levitical law, where it says the Jews aren't supposed to eat certain shellfish and this, that, and the other. And
Yep.
Jesus goes in the New Testament and says it doesn't matter what goes into your mouth, it matters what comes out. He changes the heart principle of this because nobody's going to be able to follow these laws. That's the whole point of the completion of the Old New Testament. That
No, Jesus made the law impossible to follow because he changed it like God told him not to.
What are you talking about? Jesus is God. If he wanted to,
No, he's
say you
not
can
God.
eat
They have separate
he is
wills.
God.
That's ridiculous. No, he's
No,
not.
they don't have separate wills. His will was
They
to
do have separate
what God
wills.
the Father.
Jesus begs God to remove this burden from him, but he says, "Do your will and not my will." There's definitely two different
yeah,
wills. He
because
says he can't do anything
because
without
he's
the
God
Father. He says
incarnate
only
on
the
earth.
Father is good and not him. Like he makes
He's
clear
God
distinguishments.
yeah, because he's God incarnate on earth, living
He says, "I go to
human
my
life."
God and to your God." Jesus doesn't have a God if he is God.
So let me make this even more simple for you, because I gotta get ready to get off here anyway.
Well,
Are
show
you
us where God changed the law
Let me. Are you a saved
before
Christian?
you go. No.
No, and I already told you where Jesus himself, who is God, makes distinctions, but you don't want to believe that, so that's on you. So that's why I'm going to finish with this last point.
No. I'm saying show us where you said God changes the laws and gives new laws.
I just told you where Jesus, who is God incarnate on earth in human form, made distinctions between the laws of old and what is to be accepted and what is to not. And you choose not to believe that, and that's okay. That's on you, and that's why I'm going to finish.
I asked you for the chapter and the verse.
Let me finish.
The
Well, I
chapter
don't
and
have the
verse.
chapter and the verse like I stated from the very
Oh,
beginning.
wow,
I can't
that's
look it up because I'm driving, and you can look it up yourself if you really are open-minded and like to have discussions. So let me finish what I was going to say without you interrupting. And that's why I asked you if you're a saved Christian, and you said no. Which will go to my last point, which you're not going to understand because you're not a saved Christian. If the Bible...
Yep. Only us enlightened folks can understand stuff, not these heathens. Dude, literally, you were wrong about every stinking thing you said, and I proved it. It says what I said it said, not what you said it said. And you were talking about Matthew 5, by the way. Where Jesus does change the law, but he makes it impossible. And that is where the immense amount of confusion of Christians sets in, is in Matthew chapter 5. The most denied chapter in the entire Bible, along with the most entire verse there. Oh, boy. Let's see. Something new. Anyway, if you are a Christian out there, please, for the love of humanity, come and prove us wrong. Because so far, we've been agreed with a lot. And this just looks really, really bad for Christians. Like, it's one of the craziest things is how Christians come up here and act like God was confused when he gave this law that he called perfect and just and good and said, keep it forever. Oh, keep it forever. I mean, until I need to change it, until I need to make it impossible. Crap. Kim, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate ya. Well, it's been a fire stream so far. I don't agree with the last guest, but he was cool to talk to. So that's cool. Oh, man. Boy, oh boy. What a day let's see, what is it been? What an hour it's been so far. Yeah, they never actually addressed what the... It's so crazy to me. Anyway, if you are a Christian, please, for the love of all that is decent, please come prove this part wrong. So far, there's a whole bunch of Christians that are up here agreeing with me and proving that they have no idea what God said. Like, God's just confused about his laws or something. Gave a whole bunch of different laws. So. That's right, Hal. Yeah. Yikes. Yikes. He did say, he started the debate saying he was against slavery. I'm not sure it ended that way, but to be fair, he did start by saying he does not support slavery. Yeah, he said it went away at some point. I don't know when, but, I guess it can go away maybe. I don't know, man. Yikes. Oh, man. But, yeah. So if you're a Christian out there, then for the love of humanity, please come prove the prompt wrong. Please. So far, it's looked really, really rough up here. For Christians anyway. It's like yikes out there. It's like yikes, man. So there's something else. Oh man, we really need a Christian to come up and not actually agree with the prompt in the long run. That would be great. Holy crap. Oh man, yeah, it's been a good stream so far as having a bunch of guests. Unfortunately, all the guests pretty much agree with me that Christians ultimately do support slavery and injustice and human sacrifice. Yikes. Yikes, man. Yikes. What kind do they support? Chattel slavery, owning people as property. And again, I guess one of my biggest issues with most of these Christians today is the one who don't want to, some of them say it's slavery, but seem to think slaves are people with jobs and birth certificates, which is quite alarming. So yeah, it's pretty rough out there. Anyway, if you are a Christian, please, for the love of humanity, come up and prove this prompt wrong. Certainly, it can and must be done. Yes, chattel, that's what chattel is. It's property, movable property. It's a commodity. Owning people as property. That's chattel slavery. That's the definition. Let me get back on that. This has been coming up. No, it's not. Yes, it is. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, okay. It must be it's got to be a Christian. to Christian using them alternative Christian definitions there. Almost forgot. Anyway, if you're a Christian, please, for the love of all that's decent, and please come up and prove this prompt wrong. Let's see. Chattel definition. A chattel is a tangible, movable piece of personal property. Damn. That's weird. Hey, not Jay, did you hear the definition? Hello?
Good morning.
Hey, what's up, man?
So, how are you defining slavery?
I just read the definition of chattel. It's tangible, movable property.
Okay. So, define chattel slavery for me then.
Owning people as property.
Okay. And you're equating it with exactly slavery in the Bible with slavery in the antebellum South?
Yeah, it says you can own people as property in the Bible.
Yeah, well, then you're wrong.
Really?
Yep.
So I'm wrong when it says the Bible says you can own people as property.
Did slaves in the antebellum South have any rights at all?
Yeah. According to the law, they did. In reality, they didn't.
What rights did slavers have in the antebellum South?
Just for example, like in Georgia, it says if you deprive a slave of life or limb, then you are to be charged with a crime as if you did it to a free white man.
Really? Show me that.
Yeah. You show yourself that. Look it up.
Oh, you're making
it's property either way. The Bible says you can own people as property.
You just made the claim that slaves in the Georgia, if one of them was killed,
dude, you can just look up slave laws in the South.
You made
I've
the
got
claim.
some I can put on the screen.
You made the claim. You support the claim.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, you want me to pull up some slave laws and show you? What are you going to say after that? Are you going to say, sorry, I was wrong?
Sure. Please do.
Okay. All right. I will. Love proving you fools wrong. Have you ever looked up any slave laws, by the way? Hello?
Yep, still here.
Have you ever looked up any slave laws in the South? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Have you ever looked up slave laws in the South before?
Yeah, I'm waiting for a question I want to answer.
Oh, okay. All right. 1978, Georgia Constitution. Georgia law stated that anyone maliciously dismembered or deprived a slave of life or limb would face the same punishment of the crime as if we'd committed it against a free white
What
person.
year did you say?
1798. Care to admit you were wrong and you lied now?
Well, let me put it up on the screen. I want to see it.
I can't put it on the screen. I'm on my phone. That's why I said you can look it up. You can just type in Georgia stuff. But you told me to do it, so I just looked it up and read it.
Georgia.
Wow, it's amazing that you couldn't have just done this fucking a minute ago and saved us all this ridiculous time.
Oh, don't get all pissy, sweetheart.
Well, I just kind of told you to do it, and you pissed around and didn't, and now you're trying to look it up and waste everybody's fucking time. So it's just kind
You
of
said
sad.
that you're going to put it up on the screen.
But anyway, go ahead, buddy. Take the time. Go ahead and take the time. And you can look it up, and then you can tell us you were wrong.
Did you or did you not say you were going to put it up on the screen?
No, I did not say that, as I cannot put it up on the screen. So I did not say I would when I can't.
You did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, the fuck I didn't. I can't. Why would I say I can do it when I can't?
I don't know.
All right, liar, look it up and then tell us you were wrong. We're waiting. And also, while he's looking that up to prove himself wrong here, it also says later additions to the Penal Code 1817 through 1852 technically outlawed excessive whipping, withholding food, and using dogs to tear at slaves. Though these were almost impossible to enforce.
Oh, you're talking about the laws that, okay, yeah, you're talking about the laws.
Oh, now you're confused. Oh, yeah, now you're confused on what we was talking about all of a sudden.
Can you let me speak, or do you want me to just cut me off so you can try and prove your point?
Yeah, are you going to admit you were wrong yet?
Yeah, these are laws that were established to progressively outlaw the practice of slavery.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. It says
Show us that then. Prove your point.
You look at okay, because I'm reading it right now. A timeline of selected laws to restrict and abolish slavery. University of
Oh shit.
Are you that weak of a debater that
I'm just like, it's just so funny that you don't even understand the bullshit that comes out of your mouth. That's what's funny. I'm sorry, I had a chuckle at your expense there, but
you think Catholic is a accepted?
Yeah, so the South didn't plan on abolishing slavery, did they? They fought a war to keep it.
These were laws, a timeline of selected laws to restrict and abolish slavery.
Hey, do you care to say you were wrong about your original statement?
I would say that there is truth in both what I said and what you said, yes.
You are so full of shit.
I think you're full of it.
What I said was right, and what you said was wrong, sir.
Well, these are laws that when they're on their way to...
You told me to show you any law that granted a slave any rights in the South.
Yeah, prior to 1798.
So I showed you them.
Prior to 1790. Well, look, in the South right now, there are laws that restrict slavery. Are there not?
All right. So far you've
Yeah.
proved my point. So
what I was going to say to you is most slavery in the Old Testament that you talk about is indentured servitude.
No, it's not. It forbids that.
Excuse me?
It forbids debt servitude and says you can own chattel slaves, is what it does.
You just said it forbids indentured servitude. Really?
Yeah. And it forbids that and allows chattel slavery.
Where does it forbid?
You want me to read it to you?
Servitude?
You want me to read it to you? Apparently you've never read it.
Please do.
Okay. Leviticus 25, verse 39, it says, if any who are dependent on you become so impoverished that they sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as slaves. They shall remain with you as hired or bound laborers. As for the male and female slaves whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also acquire them from the aliens residing with you and from their families who are with you who have been born into your land, and they may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. These you may treat as slaves, but as for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over the other with harshness.
Yeah, Leviticus 25:47.
Yeah, that's talking about, that's the right to buy a slave back, a Hebrew slave, if a foreigner owns them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about indentured servitude. The most slavery in the Bible, Exodus 21:2.
Yeah.
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 And in the South, if runaway slaves ran away, could they be returned to their master?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's part of what.
Deuteronomy
That's part of
23,
what the. That's part of what the war was fought over. They were afraid the North
Deuteronomy
was going to try to
23
repeal the
through
right that they
15
had to
through
go chase
16.
down
Read it.
escaped slaves.
Deuteronomy 23:15 through 16. Read it.
What?
Deuteronomy 23:15 through 16. Read it.
Deuteronomy 23.
Yeah.
Okay. It says, "You shall not return to the owners any slaves who have escaped to you from their owners. They shall reside with you in your midst in any place they choose in any one of your towns whenever they please. You shall not oppress them."
Does that sound like Southern slavery to you?
What does it say before that? Who is that talking about?
Does it sound like Southern slavery before you in the South?
No, and that's not what
Okay,
it's
right.
talking about. No,
Right.
now you're just being
What does it
dishonest
say
with the
before that?
text.
What does it say
What,
before?
what slaves are those talking
before
about?
that? What does it say before that?
Those are specific slaves that you're talking
And
about.
what specific slaves are they? The ones you just
They're
said.
the slaves of your enemies.
The ones that you said don't exist?
It's the slaves of your enemies.
Doesn't matter. It's still the same.
It
It's
does
not-
matter. It's saying don't return the slaves of your enemies.
It's not chattel slavery. It's not chattel
It
slavery.
is chattel slavery. It says owning people as property. It says you can take women and children as war plunder. They will be your property. You can sell them. You can marry them. You can fuck them. You can beat them. They are chattel slaves.
Where it says,
They're property.
nobody says where it says that you can do whatever you want with them.
It doesn't say you can do whatever you want with them. It says you can beat them.
That's what you're
It
contending.
says you can marry them, and you can sleep with them, and you can sell them. It says all that stuff. Well, anything else?
I'm looking up that last part that you talked about.
Oh, which part? I'll tell you where it's at.
Yeah, I'm failing to see where it says if a slave is taken refuge with you, do not hand them over to your master. Let them live among you wherever they like in whatever town they choose. Do not oppress them. So again, where is that about it being a slave of your enemy?
When you are encamped against your enemies, you shall guard against every evil thing. If one of you
Where?
becomes
What?
unclean
Where?
because of that's verse
What's the
9.
When you are encamped against your enemies, keep away from everything impure. If one of your men is unclean because of a nocturnal emission, he is to go outside the camp and stay there. But as evening approaches, he is to wash himself. Designate a camp, place outside the camp to relieve yourself, for the Lord God moves about your camp. And this is uncleanliness in the camp, and then it goes to miscellaneous laws. Where does it say that this is a
while you're encamped against your enemies?
Where does it say that it's a slave of your
Verse
enemy?
9.
No, it doesn't. Verse 9 is talking about being.
Verse 9 says, when you are encamped against your enemies, you shall guard against every evil thing. That's literally
And
what
then
this is
it
talking
goes
about. It's the slave of your enemies.
Where does it say that it's a slave of your enemy?
Verse 9.
It doesn't say that it's a slave of your enemy. It talks about.
It says, when you are encamped against your enemy, and proceeds to give a bunch of laws about when you are encamped against your enemies.
Yeah, it doesn't say slave of your enemy.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. These are laws for when you are encamped against an enemy. So when it says, do not return the slaves, it's talking about the slaves of your enemies, because that is what this entire part is talking about.
So what you're suggesting is that the law is that if some property of an enemy comes over to you, you're not supposed to give it back? That's what
No.
you're suggesting. That
Yeah, you
is
don't.
idiotic. That is
Yeah, humans are
absolutely
property in
idiotic.
the Bible. You don't
Do you
give
think
them
there's
back.
another law saying that, hey, if some of the food of your enemy comes your way, you shouldn't return it? Do you think there's a law in there, hey, if some of the weapons of your enemies, you shouldn't return them? Do you think that
There's rules of warfare, and yeah.
Does it make sense to you
It
that
says,
if
you may, however, take as your plunder the women, the children, the livestock, and everything else in the town, all its spoil. You may enjoy the spoil of your enemies, which the Lord your God has given you.
what verse did you go to now?
That's in Deuteronomy 20. It's the rules of warfare.
Okay, because we're in Deuteronomy 23 here. I'm asking you.
I read most of that. You don't accept what it says, so I was reading you a different one.
You think that if some property, like if a bunch of people come over from the enemy camp that could benefit them, you think this is what's saying is that you can't return them. Don't return powerful things to your enemy. That's what you're thinking.
You don't give enemies their property back.
That is idiotic. That is idiotic.
Okay, where does it say if you take your enemy shit, you have to give it back?
It doesn't, because it's plainly obvious.
I know it doesn't. You don't give them their stuff back.
You still haven't said where it says if it's a slave from your enemy.
It's in verse 9.
No, it's not in verse 9.
Yes, it is. When you are encamped against your enemies, you shall guard against every.
Keep away from. It says when you're encamped against your enemies, keep away from everything impure. That's what it says. It doesn't say when you're encamped against your enemies and a slave that's owned by your enemies comes over.
It does say that. This whole section here is about when you are encamped against enemies.
No, it doesn't. You're making things up.
No, I'm not. You're denying things. I'm not making up.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's ask the PhD Hebrew Bible scholar what he thinks on the subject.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it's almost universally held, and I only have a minute, but it's almost universally held that Deuteronomy 23 by scholars in the field of Hebrew Bible and ancient Near Eastern studies. If you like evidence of that, you can look at people like Bruce Wells or Samuel Gringus or Raymond Westbrook who write on the topic. But yeah, I mean it's almost universally held that what this is talking about is people that are slaves that are escaping from foreign lands into Israel. It's essentially a law against having a type of extradition treaty. And again, like you can see Sam Gringus's book on this for a bunch of different examples of ancient Near Eastern treaties that talk about this. But one of the things that's sort of a telltale sign of this is the fact that it's almost impossible.
Dr. Josh. Dr. Josh. Let me ask you a question real quick. So a slave comes over from an enemy, okay? Even if I grant that, when that slave comes over from an enemy into Israel, what happens to that slave?
You just leave them alone.
Okay, so do they remain as a slave?
You just leave them alone, right? They get to pick where they're going to stay.
Do they take that slave and make them a slave in Israel?
No, explicitly not.
Okay. So what are we talking about here then?
But this is not like an uncommon thing, right? If this is talking about extradition treaties.
I'm asking you, if a slave from Georgia escaped to Mississippi and he wasn't returned, what would likely happen to that slave in the South?
I don't know that those things are comparable, what you're talking about.
I'm asking you, what would happen to the slave in the South? The slave escapes. He's on the run. He's in Mississippi. He gets captured. What's likely to happen to him first and foremost?
Sorry, I'm just trying to see the relevance.
Don't worry about the relevance. What's going to happen to a slave? A Georgia slave escapes to Mississippi and is caught. What's the first and foremost thing that's probably going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on when, right? But again, this is not terribly relevant.
Dr. Josh, Antebellum South, a slave escapes from Georgia, goes to Mississippi. He gets captured. What happens?
Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, tell me.
He's most likely returned, and if he isn't returned, what's most likely going to happen to him? Use your logic. You're a PhD. You're a
Go ahead and tell me, and then I'm going to ask you. Therefore, what?
No, I want you to tell me what.
Yeah, go ahead and tell me, and then I'll say therefore what. If you're not going to do that, I'm going to finish what I was saying.
Okay. The slave that escaped, if he was not returned, would still be a slave. Therefore, how is chattel slavery in the South, antebellum South, like I asked Abe, the same as this type of slavery?
See, I think that's the issue that I'm having listening to this. I don't know that there has to be this, like, it seems like in your mind you're looking for there has to be one-to-one correlation between it. And I don't know that that's necessary in order for it to be chattel slavery.
That is his claim. That is the claim.
No. His claim. No, I've been listening very carefully since you came up here. Okay?
I asked him.
So no. Listen,
is it the same as slavery in the antebellum South?
Yeah, I know. And the words that you're using are like exactly the same, right? And slavery, for example, in Babylonia was not exactly the same as slavery in Assyria. That doesn't mean that they're not both chattel slavery, right? So the question I think that is appropriate here is, what's our definition of chattel slavery, and do both systems meet that definition? And I think the answer is obviously yes.
Absolutely no right. No rights.
No, that's just not true definitionally.
That they're owned you can do whatever you want with them. That's chattel slavery.
Now, do you see the bait and switch that you did there? Absolutely no rights. And therefore, if they have some rights, then you go to, so you can do whatever you want with them, right? Those two things don't follow.
Most of the slavery in the Bible is indentured servitude, which is very different from chattel slavery.
And even if somebody were to grant that to you, you're still saying most of. Is it okay that some of it is chattel slavery?
No, I do not believe that some of its chattel slavery is okay.
Okay. Well, I think that's probably where we ought to focus the conversation.
They did have were prisoners of war, and
you were reading Exodus 21:2, right? Exodus 21:2 shows chattel slavery, clearly.
I did not look that one up. No, let me get it so we can.
You started to read it earlier. I think you were talking about Exodus 21:2, looking at indentured servitude. But if you keep reading in those verses down in verse 4, the text says that if.
How long with you, Doctor?
Oh yeah, and I really do only have like another minute. Ape, I appreciate you inviting me up, but I gotta. But maybe you both can talk about that. If you just look at who the wife and children are, I think that's actually pretty. Let me keep listening.
Hello?
Dr. Josh had to drop. I'm still here though.
Well, what was the verse he was talking about?
Exodus 21.
Yeah, if you buy a Hebrew servant 6 years, indentured servitude, if he came in by himself, out by himself, yeah. If the master given him a wife, she shall born him sons or daughters, the master's, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall say plainly, I love my master, wife and children, I will not go free. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get it so where I'm only looking at one. I'm only looking at one verse at a time. I'm trying to get the whole thing up. Let me get my physical one. Hold on. Can you hold on while I get the actual physical Bible? Is you all right with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Okay. All right. I've got mine with commentary.
Okay.
All right. By taking the mail service home, work off a debt, service 3 or 4 years, debts be paid off. Male servant can just live with his wife once he was married. He was under contract. Need to honor this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because the wife and kids were still under the term of service, also indentured servants.
No, they're chattel slaves because they don't get to go out. They were given away as property.
Listen to this, okay? So this is the only people qualifying for indentured servants were Hebrews, okay? Were Israelites. The only ones that Israelites could marry would be other Israelites. That means that this wife that he was given while he was a slave was also an indentured servant. So what this is saying is if the man, or the woman for that matter, had finished their 7 years and their mate still had part of that 7 years to pay off, they couldn't take them with them. Okay?
So what does verse 7 say?
In 21 or 22?
In 21.
Okay, 21. Verse 7. If a man tells his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the men servants do.
Oh, damn.
Is this Exodus?
It's Exodus 21. It's the same one you was just reading.
And so
that says women do not get to go out as the male slaves do. So women are not included in indentured servants. It says when a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. So she don't get to go out as a female like the male slaves do. She's a slave for life.
Hold on.
I hear you typing. I thought you had your Bible.
I do, but I'm looking at something else.
Oh. Yeah, so in Exodus 21, females don't get to go out like the male slaves do.
Yeah, you already said that.
So do you agree, or? I mean, it says that. I guess you do, don't you? So that would render the thing you were saying right before that wrong.
Yeah, if the master fails to uphold any of these three obligations, to marry her, treat her as a daughter, or provide her necessities, she's granted freedom entirely without having to pay any money.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he has dealt unfairly with her. But either way, she don't get to leave after 6 years like a male slave does.
I'm not saying that you're wrong at this point, because this is why I like talking to you guys. I'm saying this warrants further investigation.
That's fine. Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So I'm not going to say I'm right until I can, or you're right until I can look into this a little bit more. Because from what I'm reading from the commentary, and Abe, you gotta. This is me in good faith right now. Can I read you something?
You mean a commentary?
Yeah, this is commentary, biblically based. Okay, can I read you?
You got the Oxford. Yeah, you got the Oxford commentary.
No, I've got the Paul Copan commentary.
Oh God, I'm on the fence.
You know him?
Huh?
You know who he is?
Yeah, I know who. I know who Paul Copan is.
What do you know of him?
I know Dr. Josh has debated him on several times and absolutely destroyed him, and he still says the same shit before he does.
Really? He's actually well known?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
He's a preacher.
I picked this book up off the shelf. So the option for him is he could wait for his wife and kids to finish their term of service. His wife and kids weren't stuck in the employer's home for the rest of their lives. They could be released when the wife worked off her debt. Yet now the free man worked elsewhere. Yeah.
No, a female can't work off the debt. That's the whole point.
Hold on.
There is no debt. She was sold as a slave. She was purchased. Yeah, Paul Copan's the one who says, like 1 Samuel 15 was hyperbolic language. He thinks Haram is hyperbolic, which destroys his credibility of having any sort of scholarly knowledge when it comes to the Hebrew Bible. Yeah, I imagine he takes the same soft views on slavery where it's, this, it's helping. You got to let them go after so long, which I don't know where he gets that from. Oh, wait, Deuteronomy 15, I think it includes females.
All right, now I just Googled this, so it's AI. In the Bible, a maidservant is generally not permanently required to serve under Mosaic law. Hebrew servants and maidservants were typically bound to temporary service 6 years and required to be set free on the 7th year or during the year of Jubilee. However, permanent service was possible if the maidservant chose to remain with her master permanently. Scholars and commentators have debated whether now this is all about the ear piercing. So,
well, that's what happens when you make them a slave for life. You have to pierce their ear. It's like
yeah, but I'm trying to see. Look, if you're right, you're right. Okay, but I'm trying to see where the commentary or where the interpretation is saying that it's permanent.
Yeah, if you get your ear pierced, it's permanent. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's by choice.
Sure, but you're still a slave for life, so the choice is removed once you pierce that ear.
Yeah, but you make the choice to do that.
Sure.
Because I'm looking at this, then his master shall bring him into the judges, he shall bring him to the door or onto the doorpost. His master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he should serve him forever. And if a man sells his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. If she please not her master who hath betrothed to her himself, then shall let her be redeemed to sell her unto a strange nation. He shall have no power, so he can't do that. And if he betrothed her to her son, she has to deal with her like a daughter. If he takes another wife, he still has to provide her with food and shelter, and he can't diminish it. And if he shall not do these unto her, then he shall go out free without money. He smiteth the man. I hate this one. Hold on.
Dr. Josh has written an entire book on this.
Yeah, but I'm looking where it says permanent. Show me where it says permanent again.
Which part says permanent? What do you mean?
Well, that if it's a woman who's sold, that it's permanent. Where in 21 does it say that?
In Exodus. Okay. Well, yeah. So when you read the first verse of Exodus there, or the second verse technically, it says, when you buy a male Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, but in the 7th year he shall go out a free person. Then it says, when a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do.
And what does
That's
it
what
go
it's saying
out
for life.
mean?
Go out means go out in the 6th year.
Okay, where does it say
Like
go
where
out?
it says, but in the 7th year he shall go out a free person. That's what it's talking about. And then it says, a female shall not go out as the male slaves do.
Yeah. But where does it say that it's permanent? It says she shall not go out as the manservants do. But where does it say that it's permanent?
That is what makes it permanent. When it says you shall not go out, that's what it's talking about. It says you shall not go out as the male slaves do. And the male slaves get to go out after on the 7th year, but females do not get to go out.
No, were women slaves in, well, I'm going to put indentured. Women Israelite slaves permanent in the Old Testament. Okay, here again. The status of female Israelite slaves depended on their role. Generally, Israelite slaves were not permanently enslaved. They were treated as debt servants and granted release after 6 years of service. Specific female slaves, particularly those purchased to be wives or concubines, could remain with a household permanently under certain conditions.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't have to turn a wife loose. Like, if you marry somebody, they're your wife for life. But it says in verse 4, it says, if his master gives him a wife and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her masters. So it's saying either way, they're property of the masters.
The only time that women were permanently tied to the household was if they were given like a bride. But if there was a separate indentured servitude female indentured person, and that's what it's talking, because if you can't, the master is not going to marry the woman given as a bride and then also have him marry one of his servants. So this is talking about something different. She can't be married.
You can have multiple wives.
Yes, but wives can't have multiple husbands.
Sure, but it doesn't suggest that anywhere.
Suggest what?
That a wife had multiple husbands. That has nothing to do with the passage.
No, what it has to do with is that we're talking about two different scenarios. Someone is basically they give a dowry to a father so that the guy can intend to take this woman as either a wife or a wife for his son. That's one category. The other category is that a woman sells herself into, or her parents sell her into indentured servitude, and at that point gets married to another male slave. And if the male slave's service is up 7 years and she still has 3 years to go, then he just can't take her if she still owes 3 years. There are two separate scenarios we're talking about here.
Yeah, but you understand the problem with the children here, right?
The children stay in the care of their mother. If this is reversed...
no, they both stay with their master.
Yes,
they are slaves for life. If they bear children, then you own them, male and female.
Where does it say if they bear children?
Verse 4.
Hold on, let me get back.
It says, the wife and her children shall be her masters, and he shall go out alone.
Yes, but again, you're entering evidence. You're entering facts, not an evidence here. If she still has 3 years service, that's all that's saying, is that she has to stay. And
she don't get to go out.
Where does it say that?
Verse 7 and verse 4.
No. And so this is, if 7 is speaking of, is if the father gives his daughter to be
She is not a debt slave. She has been purchased.
If a father gives his daughter, yes, to be a wife or a wife of his son, essentially giving a dowry.
That's not a debt slave. She didn't incur a debt. She was sold.
It's the same thing as a dowry. Do you know what a dowry is?
Yeah, I know what a dowry is.
Okay. So these are two separate classes. She is not going to marry. If this applied to a slave marrying a slave, she's not going to be taken in to marry the master or the son. That's different. You have a slave. I won't even call it a slave. You have a woman
This
that
isn't a dowry, though.
gives to somebody for a dowry.
This isn't a dowry.
So what's a dowry?
A dowry is a bride price. That's like an agreed upon, like marital contract. This says when a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as a slave.
What's the difference in your mind between a dowry? So you have a guy who has a daughter, and you have somebody that wants to marry that daughter. The guy that wants to marry that daughter pays a price and calls it a dowry.
There's not much of a difference if you look at it that way.
Okay. So we have that category.
But there is a difference.
What's the difference?
The status.
What's the difference?
He's just the status. A slave and a free
You're
person.
absolutely right. There is. And in here it says that if the husband that marries this woman does not satisfy, or he doesn't like her, he cannot sell her to a strange nation. He has no power to do that. He also,
he's dealt unfairly with her.
If he marries her off to the son, he has to treat her as a daughter. If he has another wife that he takes, he can't deny her food, shelter, or any other duty of marriage. And if he does not do those things, she goes out free. So how is that the same? We're talking about two separate categories. At least give me that.
Females don't go out. They are property. They are slaves for life.
It just said this right here. It just said he has to keep her as a daughter. He either has to.
It says he can turn her loose if he don't like her because he has dealt unfairly with her.
In chapter 8, okay, if he doesn't like her, he has no power to sell her to a nation. He has no power to sell her to a nation. If he gives her to his son, he has to treat her just like a daughter. If he has another wife, he can't diminish anything that he's given to her.
I know that.
And if she doesn't, he doesn't
She's still a slave.
Then by law, she has to go free.
She's still a slave. So that's what go free means.
Is a daughter a slave?
You can sell her as a slave, yes.
Is a daughter, he has to treat her. If he betroths her to his son, he has to treat her just like any of the other daughters.
That's still a slave, yes.
Still a slave.
Yeah, she's property. Because she is property, she was purchased as property.
So what's the difference between a dowry?
I told you.
What?
The status.
Okay.
Which isn't much of a difference in ancient Israel. Huh?
How is the status different?
It's a slave. One is a slave, one is a free person.
Okay. Explain to me how somebody who was entered into marriage with a dowry is different from somebody who...
Well, I'm really getting, reaching my mental limits here. So you do agree that Christianity supports slavery, right?
I do not, no.
Okay, so this entire conversation where we're talking about slaves being owned is not suggestive of that to you.
Nope.
Oh, well. You're
because the only time we put slavery in the Bible...
My gosh. What a dishonest dude, man. Hey, Emmer, you there?
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man? Are you a Christian?
You another biblical scholar on TikTok?
Oh, maybe. I don't claim to be.
Why do we have to support slavery, injustice, and human sacrifice?
It's in the Bible. Your God says it's good.
A lot of things that are in the Bible.
So do you think God does anything that's not good?
No, God does everything that is just.
Yeah, so if he says you can own slaves, that's good and just, right?
Where does he say you can own slaves when God freed the slaves?
He says it in Leviticus 25, verse 44.
What does he say?
It says, as for the male and female slaves whom you may have,
did Christians exist when Leviticus 25 was written?
Why did you ask me to read something and then you started talking halfway through my...
Did Christians exist when Leviticus 25 was written?
Hey, excuse me. Why did you ask me to read something and then not let me finish reading it?
Go ahead, read.
It says, as for the male and female slaves whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male
From which
and female
nations?
slaves.
From which nations are they to be acquired?
The nations around you.
Do those nations exist today?
Some of them do.
Where?
Around you.
Where?
Do you have nations around
where are
you?
these nations that are around you?
Do you have nations around you?
Where is this place that it's talking about over there?
Do you live on planet Earth? Sir? Did you just come to babble incoherently? Oh, I got muted.
Let's keep talking, Homo. Let's keep talking. So in this verse, it's talking to the Israelites, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Israelites, in which nation do they live in?
Israel.
And where are the nations that are around Israel?
All around it on the planet Earth.
Oh, on the planet Earth? That's what it's talking about?
Hey, do you
So
live
go
in a
to
nation
Australia
with other...
and get
Hey,
some... So
hey,
go to
idiot.
Australia
Do you live
and
in a
buy some...
nation... Do you live in a nation with other nations around it?
Is it talking about going to Australia and buying slaves?
Hey, hello. Are there nations around you, Mr. Idiot person?
Oh, around you. So go to Australia
okay.
and buy...
So you're just a fucking child. So, all right, fuck off. All right. Let's move on to somebody who's an actual grown-up here. Maybe. Dank, are you there?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
What's up, man? Are you a Christian?
I am a Christian.
Cool, man. So please, for the love of humanity, prove my prompt wrong.
Yeah, I mean, homeboy before me, he was on the right path. I think he just didn't articulate it too right. But in Leviticus, that's the Old Testament, and they are talking about basically the Middle East. But also, it was written in Hebrew. And in Hebrew, if you go back in the day, the word for worker was slave. The word for
that's not
the
true.
The word for a person who owned a business and had employees was a slave master. And these are all Hebrew words. There was no literal translation. There was no literal translation.
It's not true. I know that.
No, it is. It is true.
It's not.
Because God literally
said there is a word in Hebrew for a hired worker.
Nowhere in Jesus'
and it's
teaching,
not the word for slave.
Nowhere
the word
in Jesus'
for slave is
does
eved.
it say to own slaves. Jesus is all
Yes,
about
it does.
love. No, Jesus is all about love. And you're reading from the Old Testament. You're reading the Old Testament. If you would have read the New Testament, you keep reading the Bible. Don't read the beginning, the Old Testament, and quit and say you know everything, bro.
Well, here, I'll read you something from the New Testament. This is what Jesus says. It says, the master of a slave that will come in on a day when he does not expect him and an hour that he does not know will cut him in pieces and put him with the unfaithful. The slave who knew what his master wanted and did not prepare himself what was wanted will receive a severe beating. That's Jesus in the New Testament. Damn it, I got restricted. Let's call the guy an idiot. That's what it was. Dank, you're here. Let me, I don't know how you got muted there somehow. But Dank, unmute yourself and let me know what you think about Jesus. It says that slave who knew what his master wanted but did not prepare himself or do what was wanted will receive a severe beating. So Jesus is saying how hard to beat the slave there. No, you got to unmute yourself, Dank.
Hello?
There you go.
Oh, shit, my bad, brother. Shit, dude, I was all talking to you. And, no, I hear you, bro, but I really think you misinterpreting the whole thing, bro. No, I know for a fact. Because you're sitting here saying that Christians are supposed to be cool with slavery and stuff. If you
Yeah,
really,
that's what Jesus and
no,
God
no,
says.
it's not, bro. No,
It
I
is.
just told you.
Did you
I
hear
just
what I just
told you
read
what
you
the
about
word. Yeah,
Jesus?
I just told you what the words, what the translations for Hebrew were. But you're not even listening
Yeah,
to
but
that.
I
And
actually
then
know
look,
the
and then
Hebrew,
check this.
and I
Look,
told you that was incorrect. There's a word for slave, and that is eved, and there's a word for hired worker. That word is sakir. So there is a word for hired workers.
not in the old Hebrew language.
Yes, that's Hebrew. Sakir, that's Hebrew. Eved, that means slave. That's Hebrew also.
And in regards, if you kept reading, you would know that
I have a book
obviously
here, Learning Ancient Biblical Hebrew.
God commanded Moses to free the slaves, bro. Like, what are you talking
Yeah, but
about?
he said they can have slaves.
He never said. When did? Read me that passage again, bro. Because yeah, I might have to come
In
back to you.
Leviticus 25, verse
Oh
44
my
through
God,
46, it
Leviticus. It's still
says,
on
as for
Leviticus.
the
I'm talking about what
mountain,
Jesus said. You said what Jesus said. Leviticus is nothing. Nothing. Jesus didn't say nothing. Leviticus.
yes, it does. Jesus said you have to keep the law. Anyway, it says that slave who knew what his master wanted, but did not prepare himself or do what was wanted will receive a severe beating. But the one who did not know and did what deserved a beating will receive a light beating. So Jesus is talking about how hard you can beat your slave there in the little story. Oh, you're muted again, Dank.
He said that in Leviticus.
No, that's in Luke. It's in Luke chapter 12.
I don't know, brother. You got me stumped there. I mean, I'm not gonna say you're
Listen up.
right. I am gonna say
Look,
you got me stumped and in this conversation, but I know for a fact there's plenty of passages where Jesus teaches all about loving, and there's no slavery. Like, that's crazy. So you're literally saying here, saying that the world of billions of Christians, we all just support slavery and we all support human sacrifice, when it's literally the fucking
no.
Israelites, I mean, the fucking Zionists over here doing all the children sacrifice, bro. But like, we get all the hate. That's fucking crazy.
Well, there's child sacrifice in the Bible too. Your God commands it.
Well, no,
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
yeah. He demanded the firstborn. I understand that, and I mean, bro, I'm not fucking.
Jephthah sacrificed his daughter to God. In Deuteronomy
But you
13,
gotta understand where
God demands a
but you
mass
gotta
human
understand.
sacrifice.
Okay, I understand that, but here's where I'm coming to you, and then like the world before it was reset was wicked. You gotta understand that God resetted it, and it was still wicked, and He had to send His only Son to sacrifice for His life for us because
Yeah,
we
but
are
still
wicked. So,
wicked.
so after Jesus gave His life for us, bro, there is nothing, and they're talking about sacrificing your children. Nothing in there,
Well, the
bro.
New Testament
No,
didn't
the
give
New
new sets of
Testament,
laws.
the New Testament, what?
The New Testament didn't give new sets of laws. The New Testament's just trying to convince you that Jesus was this Messiah from the Old Testament, but it
No,
does a really
Jesus
bad
is the
job of saying
Messiah.
it. No, he's not. He
Yes, He
doesn't
is.
fulfill a single messianic prophecy. Not a
What
one.
are you talking about? He was prosecuted. He was murdered. People didn't
You want me to
believe
prove it?
him.
There's no
Those were
prophecy about
all.
that.
Those were all in the prophecies. Jesus
They what?
proved He was coming to earth. They talked about Jesus coming to earth in the Old Testament. Then He comes to earth. He proves it, bro. You talking like
No.
a? I'm not gonna lie. The way you talking, you sound like a Jewish person.
I don't know
Talking
what that
about
is.
Jesus isn't a Messiah.
He's not. All you got to
Yes, He
do is read
is.
it. No, he's not.
I've read it over
There's
and over and over. Obviously, you have.
there's
How are
no
you reading the
prophecy
Old
about
Testament?
Jesus
How
coming
do
to
you read the
earth and
Old
being the
Testament,
Messiah.
read the New Testament, and say, "Oh, well, Jesus is not the Messiah"? That don't even make no sense,
Because
bro.
no, it does make sense because
No, it
I know
doesn't.
what the New Testament says about these
Obviously not.
prophecies, and I know what the actual prophecies actually say. That's how I know that
Obviously
Jesus
not.
doesn't even come close to fulfilling one.
Yes, He does, bro. What are you talking about? So you saying
Show
right
me
now to
one.
me? What are you talking? Jesus literally says He will be prosecuted. He's telling his
Show me
followers,
one. There's no prophecy about a Messiah being prosecuted.
Yes, there is, bro. They say when the Messiah comes,
Show
right?
me.
He's gonna be
Show me.
hated. People are gonna hate
Show
him.
us.
People are gonna.
Okay, well, show us. Where's that at in the Old Testament? Let's look at there. I think he's looking up prophecies. That's prosecuted, not prophesied. Right, yeah. Dank your teacup. If you stay gone too long, it'll kick you automatically.
No.
No, you're just teacup.
Brother.
If you
Hey, have a
swap out of the
blessed day,
app.
bro. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. You didn't convince me that I'm supporting slavery. You didn't convince me to go sacrifice my children. Like, I don't want to go sacrifice them, and I don't want to go buy a slave. But I will say this.
Well, I know you
give
don't
me a
want
lot of
to, but you're
you give me
commanded
a
to in
lot.
the
You give
book.
me no, and I don't have to, and no Christian has to. And the fact that you would
Yeah,
even
but
say that
I
Jesus
know you
Christ
don't
is not
have
the
to, but
Messiah,
you're
the
supposed
fact that
to.
you no, I'm not supposed to, bro. You don't even believe in
Yes, you
Jesus, bro.
are.
How you gonna tell me? No, I don't, bro. It's not
Yes, you
even
do.
all we got to do is follow the 10 Commandments, and none of the 10
No,
Commandments say
Jesus
anything
never says
about
that.
slavery. I don't
Nope.
care what Jesus says. I mean, I do care
You
what
don't
Jesus
care what
says.
Jesus says.
I,
Well, then you're not a
bro,
Christian, are you? So this just don't apply to
I
you.
tell you what. I tell you what. You're really good at getting people flustered, but
I think you got yourself flustered, man.
no, yeah, no, you did got me flustered. I will tell you this, bro. I appreciate you 100% as a Christian because you just made me realize what I have to study on some more because there's a lot of ignorance out there, and I appreciate that for you, bro. And I hope you have a blessed day and you take care of yourself, brother.
You too, man. W for Dank for not being for slavery and child sacrifice. Well, you cooked me on that. That's for sure. At least we got cooked on that. Oh, I had somebody else in there. A juice person. I have no idea what that meant. Oh, man. We did get restricted there pretty heavily, though. I suspect it was when I was talking to Not Jay. Yikes. So, that means there's a pretty good chance that we won't get another guest without doing a reset. The question is, do I even want another guest? My goodness. Oh, good Lord, man. He called me a slave, did he? If he did, I didn't notice. I honestly, like, the name calling, when people call me stuff like that, for the most part, it goes one, and then I generally don't pay much attention. And I should probably actually readjust my ways a little bit, because also, like, if I have co-hosts sometime, I don't like the way they're getting talked to, but I almost have, like, this assumption that, like, we're talking to Christians, like it's gonna happen, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like I don't consider it like as a surprise, like anytime I hear it. So maybe if I don't address it properly, I apologize. Please forgive me. But the insults kind of bounce off of me because I'm so used to them. I mean, shit you hear 10,000 times a day, man. I'm like, I don't even pay attention for real. Right, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, we're talking to Christians, like, do y'all really think we're not going to receive insults? Like, I mean, honestly, like, I just expect people to, like, be able to deal with it, I guess, if you're up here, I don't know. What gets under my skin is when people call me a liar, but even that I'm kind of desensitized to now. Whatever. Yeah, we've heard it. Heard it all before, I think. Anyway, let's do a exactly. I'm always surprised when they're cool, actually, like because it doesn't happen very much. But yeah, I mean, we're just gonna the insults will fly around here. Sometimes they fly for me. I do it too, I guess. Maybe not on that level, but let's well, we are restricted, but let's put out a last call here anyway. So we're gonna make a last call for Christians. If you want to come up, the queue is open for the first time in hours today, actually. So please, for the love of humanity, Christians, prove me wrong on this prompt, please. It was a good live today. Yeah, I mean, I'm used to the restrictions now too. Like, my God, I think I'm pretty mild compared to a lot of content creators out there, and I get restricted constantly. Yeah, please, last call. If you are a Christian out there and you want to come up before I go ahead and just call today a decent success there, because we're restricted anyway. It's not going to keep going out. Yeah, the heavy ones, 2 of them. The live and the regions. It's a double whammy. I tell you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they pick on me sometimes, but that's all right. We expect it. We pick on them too. It's fair. It's fair. God's name is that? I mean, I've almost never know why I'm actually restricted, but it was when I was talking to Najee it came up. Right. Yeah, they TikTok's got it out for me, I'm telling you. But anyway, last call. I'll give it about another minute. If you are a Christian that wants to come up and please prove this prompt wrong, then please do. Otherwise, we're gonna call it a real decent episode today. We even got a guest technically after it was restricted too, so I guess, well, it's probably around anyway, but oh man. How's it going? I mean, God has to have a huge penis, right? I mean, it did go all the way from heaven, like to a female's vagina in the Middle East. So, I mean, that's pretty huge. Like, firmament to vaginas. Quite large. It's quite large. Anyway, yeah, I'm telling you, it's longer than the ozone, man. No, that's not wrong. It does say that, though. You're right about that. Yeah, it's not less. I can still prove it. It's a nice little contradiction of the Bible. They even admits it in several parts. Huh. Let's forget about this one. Which one was? Six. Yeah, Micah in chapter 6, verse 7 here makes a really strange admission. It says, will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, 10,000 rivers of oil? It's a question that has a question mark. And it says, shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? Question mark. Seems like Micah in chapter 6 is clearly saying there is some sort of something for a firstborn being offered for sin here. Damn. But damn. But damn. I'll show you something else fun. Oops. When you offer your gifts and make your children pass through the fire, you defile yourselves with all your idols to this day. Why in the world would they be making their children pass through the fire? Could it be because God made them do it? Moreover, I gave them statutes that were not good and ordinances by which they could not live. I defiled them through their very gifts and their offering up of their firstborn in order that I might horrify them. I defiled them to their gifts and the offering of their... Oh, wow, that's crazy. That sounds a lot like God saying he defiled them through their gifts. How strange. How very strange. Isn't it? How very strange. Anybody ever seen this? This is the definition of haram in Hebrew. And it gives the two words that this got translated into. So haram is the persons or things to be utterly destroyed, devoted to the Lord, right? Property to God. Dedication of the property to God with a possibility. It is translated into votio, a word for human sacrifice, and into the Greek as anathema, which means a sacrifice to the gods. And if it is a sacrifice to the gods that includes humans, that is called human sacrifice, my friends. That is sacrificing the humans, like they did in South America to Chok, the rain god. And still didn't get rain most of the time. So anyway. Alright. Well, I'm going to pull it to a close for the day, I reckon. Definitely not get anybody else. So we got some heavy restrictions there. Anyway, don't forget to check out Dr. Joshua Bowen at digitalhammurabi.com. He wrote an entire book on slavery in the Hebrew Bible. And he also wrote this one, How to Read Biblical Hebrew. If you are interested in learning the live classes, you'll be a little bit behind, but the live classes start this Thursday. And he will be starting from the beginning, but you can also catch up on some courses like really you need to get up on the alphabet for that. But he's got a quick course on the alphabet. You can learn it in here. It will be fucking awesome. But really good stream today, I think. I feel like that was a good one. What did everybody, y'all let me know in the comments what you thought of the stream. Oh, that must be an accident. It was more about to say somebody else requested up. As a friendly there. But yeah. Thumbs up if you dug the episode today. If the top, what the hell is this? That's a different background. I was about to say, what in the world is going on there? It was on this background today. And look, y'all, I've got, I guess I'm going to start bouncing around on different ones. Because I made some different ones. And this one's, I read the Bible. Christians, you've been duped. God and Jesus are monsters. Please, for the love of all that is sacred, prove me wrong. Here's a regular one. Christianity is pro-slavery. God is unjust. Typical. That's my three got-ems. And then twice a week, or at least once a week, I'm going to throw in the politic in here, MAGA, what you think of losing the Iran war? And then Jesus and God and most Christians are placed. So kind of typical there. Then that's the one. And then, of course, we got this one, but check this one out. This one I'm going to have to bust in here sometimes, too. Was Thomas Jefferson right? Christianity supports slavery and injustice all over the earth. But I'm going to make this one a topic, too, but I think the top got shoved up a little too far. Yeah, I don't disagree that Christians had a role in ending slavery. But they liberated slaves from other Christians who were justifiably in the Bible allowing slavery. Coincidentally, I have a quote on that. Let's pull it up. Let's read what the Confederate Christians had to say about slavery. This is from Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy. It says, "Let the gentleman go to Revelation to learn the decree of God. Let him go to the Bible. I said that slavery was sanctioned in the Bible, authorized, regulated, and recognized from Genesis to Revelation. Slavery then existed then in the earliest ages and among the chosen people of God. And in Revelations, we are told that it shall exist till the end of time shall come. You shall find it in the Old and New Testaments, in the prophecies, the Psalms, the epistles of Paul. You find it recognized and sanctioned everywhere." And Jefferson Davis was not incorrect. The Bible 100% recognizes, sanctions, and condones chattel slavery. And that is the sad truth. One of but many of the sad truths of poor old Christianity. It's a depressing and bad joke, to be honest with you. But anyway, guys, much love to everyone out there. Fuck MAGA, fuck Trump, fuck Christian nationalism, fuck slavery. Happy Pride Month, though, for sure. Everybody have a great Pride Month. We all got the prides out here. And, yeah, that's where we're at. So, much love to everybody. We will catch y'all back on the morrow. Peace out. Peace in the Middle East, as they say.